Hi, everybody. Suzy Woo here. Nice to see you again. Welcome to my channel. I am a metaphysician, psychic medium, medical intuitive astrologer, hugger of tree, and lover of life. I also do past life regression therapy. If it's cool and it's woo-woo and it's of the light, odds are I do it. Nice to see you. Also, one other thing is I'm also the president of the Buffalo Cleveland chapter of the NCGR, the National Council for Geocosmic Research. I invite you to join me on anything that I do. I am more than happy to connect with other like-minded individuals. Okay. Now, today's video is to share whatever my guidance would like to share. So there may be some channeling, there may be some light language, but really the main focus is the current astrology. However, when we're doing the astrology, a lot of times other things come through that I am required to share. Okay. So, please, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I would really love that. And if you are interested in this type of content, you might even want to share me with a like-minded friend. That would be lovely as well, because it's all about community and growing our family. All right, let's get into it. Ready? Here comes the chart. Here comes the chart. Here comes the chart. What was that? Laughing, I think. Here comes the judge. Here we go. Here's the chart of today. Now, the house system I'm using for today, for this, it's a natural house system. So to make, it's very plain and simple. And this will help you to see very clearly the signs where the planets are currently occupying. Alrighty, so now also a side note, I do teach everything I know. So if you're interested in learning astrology or any of this stuff that happens here, I invite you to visit my website, subscribe to my woos letter, because I want you to live a life that makes you want to say, woo! Alrighty, guys. Here we are. Today is the sun at 21 degrees of Gemini. Um, And we just had a beautiful full moon in Sagittarius, the at 3 in the morning the day before yesterday. Very, very beautiful. I absolutely love this full moon. How about you? Like, let's share. How was it for you? This is such a pleasant, pleasant energy because days before this beautiful full moon in Sagittarius, the ruler of Sagittarius, the planet that is the king of that is Jupiter. And Jupiter has moved out of the last 2 years where it's not been so great, Taurus and Gemini. Now gets to open its giant wings with wisdom like an eagle and knowledge and wonderful joy and expansion and freedom and truth and fertility for the next 12 months in the sign of Cancer. And so, with Jupiter now busting out and being exalted in beautiful, fertile Cancer, also initiatory, the full moon in Sagittarius lit that up in a very grand and auspicious way. And with the backdrop of Saturn and Neptune here, see it in the first house, those are both only 1 degree from each other in the fiery sign of Aries that is initiating because it's a cardinal sign, Aries. And guess what? So is Cancer. And so that means these are squaring one another. So here we've got Saturn, Neptune together. 1 degree apart. That's close enough. We do call it a conjunction. Squaring, which does cause some external pressure. There's something we need to work out. With what? With here. So this red number 4 looking thing, that's Jupiter. And then the little yellow guy next to it, that's Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication. And so this is Jupiter makes big whatever it touches, big communication. And what kinds of things? Nurturing kinds of things, mother, family, protection, safe, privacy, those kinds of things. So one way this could be interpreted is Saturn conventionality, conventionalism, patriarch, the man behind the curtain, because a lot of times Saturn is the patriarch. It's the old staunch brotherhood. And in the sign of Aries, it's very rammy and impatient. And so I just want to ambush things. But gentle Neptune says dissolve. So these don't exactly speak the same language. Saturn wants to throw down the restrictions, the limitations, what you can and can't do. This is the boundary, and I'm sticking to it, and do not cross that line. And Neptune says, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. What is it that forgive them for they know not what they do, right? Just before Jesus was murdered, he said something like that, forgive them for they know not what they do. Or he was saying, Father, forgive them, right? So it's kind of that, but we don't want to crucify ourselves, okay? So where are you being a martyr? Which is going to be the shadow side of the energy of Neptune bleeding out so everyone else can live, which used to be, well, in certain religions, that is encouraged and celebrated. So if you sacrifice yourself for others, then you get like rewards. All right. But on a soul level, removing the rules and regulations and restrictions of following a book of any religion, dissolving that, allowing yourself to just kind of be bare naked under the stars, asking for forgiveness where you have wronged others, where you have mistreated your own self, where you have given too much of yourself away and you continue to get wounded and you're not getting the lesson. So this is asking you, inviting you to pray, to ask for forgiveness, to forgive yourself, to forgive others, for they know not what they do. We can kind of like boil this back down to the level of consciousness that somebody is operating that at. So think of angry people, right? Angry people would love to just punch somebody like me in the face. Okay. Now, I used to be one of those angry people, and I went through my phase of I wanted to control and know everything so that nobody could get a one up on me. Because for 22 years, I lost my voice. I was in a horrifically controlling and abusive marriage where I lost my voice. I lost my personality. I had no idea who I was anymore. All sense of identity. Well, guess what? Aries is identity. So if you were born with Saturn, which is this brown H looking thing, see it in the first house? If you were born with Saturn in the sign of Aries, and I was, then Saturn prevents you from self-actualizing until you learn your lesson, which is also Saturn. Okay. Now, with Saturn and Neptune together, it is a test of your faith, a test of your beliefs and your belief system. What do you stand for? Who are you? Do you know? And this is great because it's kind of where all of your, all of this stage of your play starts to become pixelated. And you realize that you've been in a movie and it's been an altered reality or a dreamlike state. And all of a sudden, sobriety kicks in. Saturn is sober. So you may be going through a very sobering new reality where all of the people around you or the circumstances that you're in, they might have been blowing smoke up your ass and leading you to believe that you are something that it's actually not who you are at all. So maybe you've been encouraged to go down this path because it felt righteous, and all of a sudden those blinders come off and all of the characters' masks come off, and you realize, oh my God, that ain't what I signed up for. I want out. But this is all that I've known. So what do I do? Many of you may be facing that. Please share with me in the comments if that is you. And then if you know, please let me know if you have Saturn in Aries. Okay, so you may be having your Saturn return. And so for me, this is my second Saturn return. Saturn is about what lessons have you learned? Saturn rewards hard work. And so if you've been sober, practical, grounded, rooted in reality, but reality is subjective, I think. Okay. Somebody said to me, you got to live in the real world. What is the real world? How do you define the real world? Because reality to me is going to be very different from the reality of my neighbor, a client, a relative. That's very interesting to think about, isn't it? Where have we been living in illusion or disillusion? Where are we suffering from disillusionment? Okay. Now, if you tip back a glass of wine, you might start getting goo eyes at somebody that you would never in a million years have ever thought of like pursuing. That's why it's not so good to go to a bar and consume and go home with somebody, right? So now with Saturn and Neptune together, you got to pay the piper. This is where, because Saturn is the Lord of karma, and you got to pay back. So there is that phrase, payback's a bitch. Well, guess what? So is the phrase karma's a bitch. And why and how? It's only if you suck. If you've been doing things that were not morally good, then this is when karma is going to burn you. Now, if you've been invested in yourself and keeping your nose to the grindstone and you've been working diligently toward a goal that is beneficial, well, then Saturn is like the sun rising again, and welcome to your harvest. It's good. Your crops bear fruit. They didn't get all eaten by grubs and whatever. So this is wonderful. In fact, Saturn does rule farming as well. Um, so something's just coming in, and that has to do with now I do avoid like any kind of news, but because I'm on social media, I do kind of get a skim coat of, things that are going on. And it was either last year, it might have been longer. I actually think it was 2 years ago, where let's just say someone decided to eliminate a lot of organic functions, ones that have been like family farms for long, long times, and they diseased the cows. I'm laughing because I made that term up, but they did bad things that harmed good, hardworking families that are farmers, including cattle farms, beef, um, and 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 grains and that kind of thing. Um, and there was no explanation. Okay, now of course, these things are not random. All right. Now, with these two planets, Saturn, Neptune together in Aries, there is a reveal on some level. What is that reveal for you? I'm going to stop the share so I can talk to you directly here. And let me just rearrange my screen for a moment so I can just talk to you one on one. Okay. All right. Um, with I'm still on Saturn Neptune together because they're only at 1 and 2 degrees of Aries, which is initiatory. Okay, so the number one is this new realization. Because when it's zero, it's like, whoa, it's a big change of energies. When it is one, it's a little bit initiatory, but it's like, oh, what's that? What is this? And you maybe start to be open to investigate, kind of sniff it out. What is this? But then when it gets to the second degree, now you might be able to connect with somebody else or discuss or ask questions. Oh, what do you think about this new so and so or this new energy or this new something that's coming in? Or I heard about this. What do you think? These are very early degrees, and both of these planets are actually going to go retrograde. These two planets do not see eye to eye. And how interesting that for the last almost 3 years, Saturn has been in Neptune's sign of Pisces, which again is not comfortable. Saturn is not a big fan, okay? Because Saturn is hard lines. Neptune is I dissolve, forgive them, work with compassion, energy healing, Christ consciousness, this wonderful, very high, compassionate energy, which I now live in. I live in that bandwidth. So for other people who are a lower vibration, let's say, and what I mean by that, just so it doesn't sound too woo-woo-y, but I am, queen of the woo here. So is I get so carried away that I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, is faith. And so people that are angry, they're too many steps away from being having true faith. Now, there's people who say, Jesus, take the wheel. All right. But there's got to be an action. So, like, if you just sit there and you expect things, that's not going to happen. If you need to catch the bus, you need to be at the bus stop. And then Jupiter's like, cool, guess what? The person paid your fare ahead of you. That's what Jupiter does. Jupiter will see you and help you to get on and feel good. And I almost want to say with some luxury, but that's Venus. Um, and so I will move to Venus just for 2 seconds. Venus is in her wonderful, wonderful sign of Taurus, one of the signs that she rules. She rules over Taurus and Libra. And it's a beautiful thing when Saturn is in Taurus. Taurus rules the five senses. Now, this could be where you acquire a sweet tooth. So you have to use your Saturn discipline so that you don't, contribute to like cavities or too much sugar or because you're going to start packing on pounds. But if you're in the northern hemisphere, we're about to enter into the summer solstice next week. You want to get outside and walk it off, do some summer exercise. Now with Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, that's a fire sign, and fire is about action. Get up and be doing some stuff. Do not be a bump on the log. Okay, you cannot pray those pounds away. All right. You have to take action. You have to initiate that action. You can't just dream about it, which is also Neptune. So Neptune says you've been dreaming too long. Like we need to start something. You've been talking about it, you've been thinking about it, you've been dreaming about it. Let's get real, Saturn, and have faith, Neptune, and know who you are. And now you've got alignment. And now this is when life gets really exciting. So if you've been dishing out some crap, if you've been exaggerating and not exactly be telling the truth, if you've been taking any shortcuts, Saturn is going to give you a little bit of a bitch slap, and you have to right your wrongs. You have to ask for forgiveness where it's appropriate. You need to, reform yourself wherever that is needed. And maybe it's just something, maybe it's self-deception. Maybe you were, turning a blind eye to something about yourself. Well, then you owe it to yourself to kind of make amends, but you got to take an action. Okay, this is where words and action must equal. And where they're not, you're out of integrity. And here's your chance to make amends. That's what you want to do. Okay, because this is a new cycle that's going to last for a long ass time. And you don't want somebody chasing you down, asking you. There was some movie, oh geez, I barely ever see. It's an old movie. I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody chasing back saying, "Oh, my $2, my $2." It was it had to do with a younger brother, I think it was, and he was chasing like the star of the movie, "My $2." So you don't want these bugs in your ear. You don't want these anything or anyone saying, oh, pay me back with interest. All right. This is where you have to settle your debt. Ask for forgiveness or do a loan consolidation or things like this. Wherever you have really blundered, Saturn, Neptune together in Aries are saying, you know what? You got to be accountable for you and you got to clean up your mess or else you don't get to move forward. So this is a huge pivotal time for everybody. It's a test of your faith. It's being grounded and practical. That's the Saturn part. And knowing who you are, that's the Aries part. And saying, yes, this is what I believe, which now we're going to bring in Jupiter. And so Jupiter is our faith. It is higher learning, it's mentors and teachers, and being in its wonderful sign of exaltation, which is Cancer. This is where we can now have beautiful, fertile soil. And that's why we need to make amends and heal things of our past. There's no room for it. Think of you've got all your baggage from all of your life and all the crap that happened to you, and they're in big oversized suitcases that weigh a ton. And so we're carrying all these suitcases and we can't even step because there's so much weight there. I'm never gonna forgive what they did to me. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, who does that serve? It's weighing you down because the ones who have done you dirty, they don't care. They don't care. So every time you're like, oh, I hope they burn in hell, they're on to other things. They don't care. You have to care about you. And you're going to forgive those other people, not because they deserve it, but because you get to drop that baggage. Every time you're like, oh, they did this, they did that, the weight of that bag is heavier and heavier and heavier. And that is also Saturn, karma, chains, tethers. I don't want to be carrying those chains. All the, crap that I've been through and you've been through. You don't want to be carrying these chains around. There's no room for that. All right. So let's say you're going to board a ferry boat and you need to get across these waters and get to the other side because that's your destination. And your destiny. There's awesome things on the other side of where this ferry is going to take you. And so you've got all of this big baggage, and you're like, oh my God, it took me all of my effort and my toil and all my suffering, and I'm ready to go to the other side. And the ferry boat person is like, you can't bring all that weight on this boat. Who do you think you are? Okay, you're only allowed to bring an overnight bag. And all that other stuff, you got to do something with it. And guess what? Aries is fire. So fire is alchemy. So when you burn something, it changes states of matter. If it's something that is tangible, like a book, it turns into flame. It turns into ash, which you can then maybe turn into compost and repurpose it somehow. But geez, if you imagine 100 big thick books like War and Peace. So think of you got 50 books, 50 War and Peace books, and you're trying to carry them onto this boat. And it's all of your life of the stuff that done you dirty, and I'm this way because my mother did this and my father did that and this happened and this happened and this happened. Every time you say it or think it, you're reconcretizing it. So now we're taking a book of War and Peace and we're dipping it in some concrete. And now it's even heavier. And now here we get to the ferry boat. And they're like, absolutely not. You're not allowed to take all of that crap onto my boat. I'm not letting you bring that to the promised land on the other side of this ferry, on the other side of the water. No. And so, okay, you got to go back and think about this. What really matters? Do I need to carry these burdens? Do I really need to keep score? And the answer is no. Okay. And so you're gonna chisel off the concrete, and you're gonna take all of those 50 books of War and Peace. And if there's certain parts that really hurt bad, maybe you want to revisit it so that you can actually say, I'm honestly ready. I'm truly ready to let this go because there's no room for this in my new future. That's going to be building of progress and love and fortitude and forgiveness and compassion and healing and joy. How can you possibly live a life full of joy if you're carrying 50 books dipped in concrete of all your pain and suffering? Okay, there's no room for that. And when you pass away, those heavy emotions, they dissolve. And you're going to realize as you start to ascend out of your physical body, you're going to look down and you're going to be like, oh my God, look how weathered I am. That's because I stayed mad at my ex or my parents or whatever it is. It takes a toll on you keeping score, holding on to everybody that did you dirty. And I'm never going to talk to them again. I want to make sure. Da, 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 da. It does not serve you. Instead, it ages you, it weathers you, and it's going to result in an outcome. Your physical body is an outcome. If you don't forgive people and you hang on to anger, it could turn into stomach rot, which will lead to stomach cancer. All right? You don't want to give yourself this stuff. You are not born to turn on every imbalance, which will evolve into a disease. You are born to realize, where does this not feel good? And then the action, what am I going to do about it? And that's on you. So what happens when you're born is you have an imprint in your DNA. There's an imprint of what you didn't accomplish, what you didn't finish, what you didn't get to, finish with a pretty bow at the end of your previous life. And that includes suffering. And so if you were a martyr and you just let everyone walk all over you and you gave everything you had to everybody else and never had anything for yourself and you suffered because of it, then you're going to be born as a yes person in this lifetime too. You do not get to skip those life lessons, Saturn. And it's also an earth energy. So Saturn and karma, earth. So it's tangible. We have these physical 3D meat suits, these bodies, physical. Okay. So if I turn around, I'm going to walk into this wall. I cannot walk through it. But when you transition and you vacate this physical vessel, then to somebody else who's left behind, they might see you as an apparition, and you can absolutely walk through walls, of course, because you don't need that physical vessel any longer. Now, when you have that imprint of the unresolved things, that is going to be the nest of energy that you're born into, and it is a new chance to kind of recover, figure it out, and break through it. Now, what you need to know is depending on your previous experiences, that layer of crap that you have to break through, it might be really thin, like a nice creme brulee. Now, I have a moon in Taurus, so I like to talk about food. Okay, so the nice, soft, gentle sugar top of the creme brulee. But you might have a lot of karma because you always were selfless, or whatever it is. We all have these things. So you might be born into a family that just wants to overpower you, not let you, like helicopter parenting and labeling you and black sheep of the family and rejection and not fitting in. And I love the island of misfits. I live there, but I have learned to relish it. I have learned to embody it and embrace it and not fight it anymore. And that's not easy. Like when you're rejected, when you are, ostracized and whatever, whether it's like coworkers, peers, whatever. Um, I was personally a loner when I was growing up. And so I like it now. Anyway, so this imprint that you're born with, these are your life lessons that are heavy. And these lessons can be read in a person's chart. Now, you know the crap that you've had to go through already in your life. How'd you do? Did you make it through? So there's going to be little ones and there's going to be big ones. And the ones that you don't get is going to keep happening and it's going to get bigger. So it's like spinning round and round and round and round and round and round. So if you never get the lesson, the problem is going to get bigger until it breaks you. And there's lots of times that the universe comes in and taps you on the shoulder and says, "Are you ready to step into your real character now? Or are you going to still keep on being a people pleaser? Are you still going to take on everybody else's burdens all of the time?" Which leads to enablement. So think of it this way. Say you've got a brother who has a drug problem and they're like, I really need this 50 bucks. They're gonna, or I don't have any food. Okay, here's the 50 bucks. You're gonna pay me back next week? Yes, I will. So here's next week. They don't pay you back. Another week goes by, they don't pay you back, but now they're ringing you up again. Oh my God, they're here to turn off my electric. I need $100. So you validate it and you call the electric company and you pay the bill for them and they're going to pay you back. So now there are two things backed up with you. And now a month goes by and now they've lost their job. And now they are getting ready to be evicted. Okay, so where is the boundary? If you are always saving your brother, what is that teaching your brother? He needs to learn how to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient. He needs an ultimatum. All right. You need to check yourself into rehab. I don't want to find you dead in an alley. Okay. Please get yourself some help. I'll drive you to rehab. Because if you keep on saving them, they're not going to get the lesson. They're not going to apply the lesson. And you've contributed to that. So now you have karma and they have deeper entanglement into helplessness. You get it? So having healthy boundaries, I'm going to help you this time. You got to pay me back. And if you don't pay me back, then I'm not going to help you next time. However, this happens to work out, you get the idea. Okay. So we have to learn how to form healthy boundaries, and then how to stick to them. Because some people just know how to pull on your heartstrings. And if that always happens, then you're going to beat yourself up. I wish I would have said no. And it ends up really hurting you. These things. If if you're in the dating scene and you keep on dating people that are idiots, like you're dating, you're not just meeting for coffee, you're actually like an item. And then they turn into this jerk, okay? It can't be everybody else. It's who you're attracting. And that is based on what you're emanating out. It's the lack, okay? And so if I don't feel accepted, if I don't feel I am able to be understood and loved, then I am going to attract confusion. I'm going to attract people who don't see me for who I am. They're going to have unrealistic expectations. And the people pleaser is going to be like, oh, I'll be whoever you want me to be just because I want or need a relationship. I'm terrified of being alone or whatever it is. And you're going to attract these people that are a total and complete mismatch. So many people are terrified of aloneness. It is beautiful to learn how to become your own best friend. I've made some very bad decisions for my growth and evolvement when I was lonely, i.e., reached out to my ex. Okay, so we do things that we wouldn't normally do when we feel detached. And how do you remedy that to prevent yourself from doing something you wouldn't normally do? Now, that behavior might be, I can't deal with this aloneness, so I need to go get a bottle of something and drink, or smoke, or go to the bar, or go have sex services, like whatever the person's outlet is. What is the trigger to turn that piece on? It's usually loneliness. It's a lack of self-awareness. It's what do I need to feel alive? I don't know. So I'm going to run away, escaping the problem. Self-pacifying, self-medicating is never going to get you feeling accomplished because you have to wake up and look at yourself in the mirror again. When you learn how to become your own best friend, you are not going to need, you're not going to be needy. You're not going to attract people who want to sink their hooks into you. Okay? It's going to help self-reliance, which will lead to self-empowerment, which will lead to confidence, independence. And then guess what? When you become whole and complete, and you're not looking for your other half to complete you, you're going to attract somebody that is whole and complete. There's too many people who say, I need my other half to complete me. Every time you say that, you are declaring that you are half of a person. So the part of you that's missing, you need to go into that and nurture it so that it can grow and come online so that you can integrate it. I actually believe it is a painful process. But when you become sober, when you stop that outlet that gives you guilt or shame, feeling weak, feeling less than, when you can rise above that and it it fills you with a particular sense of accomplishment, which is going to increase your like feeling of relevance in the world because your actions and words will be equal and you won't feel bad and guilty and shameful about yourself. And that sense of accomplishment is going to help you to value yourself more, and then be more in alignment with your purpose. So everybody has purpose, but almost nobody knows what it is, which to me is heartbreaking. But that's what your whole first half of life is. You've got to go through all these speed bumps and like kissing a lot of frogs, which could be going through different jobs, different careers, or it could be dating, partners and partnerships. It could be business and business partners, figuring out what it is that you like to do. So when you're in middle school or high school, they got you trying to figure out what you want to do as a career so that they can sign you up for college and stay in that money circle, um, which is going to keep you. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, so they're trying to get you to choose a career and plug you in with a college. Um, it's misdirected and misguided. And then when we fall short, we beat ourselves up. We take on some other job that has nothing to do with our degree. And we don't have these realizations until later in life. And that super sucks. So, what I want for everybody is to know what it is that you actually love, which may be very different from what you went to college for, and plug back into it. It's never too late to start again. Never. Now, it doesn't mean you go back to college, but you can do a trade school. There's so many online courses. So you can like still get the education, but avoid the freaking debt. Align what it is that makes your heart sing. And that is the beauty that is coming up now with Neptune and Saturn in Aries. Now that we've got Jupiter in the sign of Cancer for the next year, for a little while, the next month and a half, it's going to be in a square angle, aspect, a 90 degree. Let's see, 90 degrees. There we go. 90 degrees is tension, it's conflict, it's pressure. And so you've got this grounded reality. Well, you gotta pay the bills. So my last like regular job, it was at the IRS. It's not fun. It's not creative. It's super sucked. It was horrible. But you gotta pay the bills. Okay. So I had mouths to feed and single parent, blah, blah, blah. Um, I kept that job while learning all of the spiritual stuff and and energy healing and divination and higher self stuff. And then I opened an office inside of somebody else's office and I allowed that to grow. And then I got a whole office of my own. And then the first one, she ended up closing and I got hers too. And then I grew from there. And when 2020 happened and the world shut down, I closed my business for 2 weeks and I'm like, you know what? F this. I'm not doing. This is what people need the most. I'm going to work today. And that was my most explosive year. And so you have to do what feels right, what feels in alignment with your heart energy, with a new sense of purpose and a new sense of identity. And Jupiter is going to help you to realize that. And Jupiter is going to give you the fertile soil so that as you're having these realizations, it's going to bring you revelations and it's going to give you the fertile ground to plant these seeds or water these seeds that were there ever since you were born. But maybe your parents were like, nope, you can't do that because you have to do this. You have to have a real grounded, practical life and you can't do that creative stuff. Well, with Jupiter in Cancer, this is creativity. And so it is music and art and beautiful things. And especially with Neptune there, I'm going to be an artist. Well, there's no market for that. Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there is. Do not let small minds tell you that what you want to do can't be done. All right. You wouldn't go to a plumber for heart surgery. Okay. You've got to be in alignment with those people who are where you want to be. You don't want to ask your family members because they're not you. They did not walk your path. and you have interwoven energies with them. So they're not able to pull out and look at it objectively and being able to like support you for your growth. They can encourage you, but those aren't the ones who are going to help you climb your own ladder. You want to involve people who are where you want to be. You got to surround yourself with encouraging, positive people. Okay. Um, I know there was something else I wanted to mention. Let me look at the chart again. Super duper love Venus in Taurus. She's going to be there for a month. So if you're a Taurus, or a Libra, then Venus is shining on you. Now, for 40 days, she was retrograde and everything really sucked. So if you're ruled by Venus, now this could also be your moon. I happen to have a Taurus moon. So everything kind of went on hold. And then when Mars, her lover, was also retrograde in a sign that it hates going through, Cancer, that was emotional, draggy, being dragged through an abyss, and I can't see the way out. It's dark and heavy and it's super duper sucked. Well, thank God we're out of that. That was horrible, horrible, horrible. Now everything is full steam ahead. The only planet retrograde is Pluto. And for right now, anyways, Pluto's at 3 degrees of Aquarius right now. And then we've got Mars is rounding out its stay in Leo. And so this is mojo. It's, yeah, got my mojo back. Let's get going. And then we've got the nodes of the moon currently at 22. Now, I happen to love the number 22. I'm a 22-degree Leo. And my Neptune is 22 Scorpio. And so, oh, 23 Scorpio. Anyway, so the nodes today, the North Node is what we need for collective healing. It's been in the sign of Pisces since January 11th, and it's going to be there until next summer. So what we need for healing is to poop out all of the Virgo stuff. The South Node is in Virgo, or the dragon's tail. This is what we need to excrete. And so guess what? That's going to be anxiety. We don't need to carry your anxiety on the ferry boat. All right. Do you know what anxiety is? It's nervous system overload about what might happen. If you never try, you're never going to know. You got to try. And that's what this wonderful fire energy that we have, Saturn Neptune, is encouraging you. Just ask the questions, do some research, take some action towards these new goals, which are yours and yours alone. Now, Saturn and Neptune have been hanging out together. They both crossed the 0 point of Aries together. And they're not exactly conjunct, but they're only 1 degree away. And soon both are going to go retrograde. Both are going to go back over that 0 degrees of Aries and back into Pisces, which is I dissolve. But guess what it means if you're paying attention? It means I'm in alignment with what I want to do. Maybe I'm going to create a plan. Maybe I'm going to take a class. Maybe if I want to lose weight, maybe I'm going to interview different gyms or programs or boot camps or whatever it is, because Saturn is physical and Aries is action. So working on your physical body is one of the things, but Neptune is spiritual. So spiritual strength, all kinds of ways that you can integrate that. Now, when both of these planets retrograde and go back into Pisces, you get to revisit that energy and what you didn't finish or accomplish. But now you're going to understand because you just went through this initiatory stuff and maybe you already got stung by somebody. So maybe you're like, oh, they look like a good person to follow. And you maybe buy a program from them and it's like, oh, they're full of themselves. That's not who I want at all. Because the shadow side of Aries is all about me, like Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. It's very arrogant and impatient and demanding. And we don't want that. It's never going to get us anywhere. It's jumping in now and figuring out as we go, which if you are an Aries, that's your nature. That's who you are. We all look to you. You go first and I'll wait and see. That's what Aries does. I'll go. I got it. Um, but that is going to go backwards. So both of those energies are going to retrograde back into Pisces, and then both Neptune and Saturn will come back and they will stay in Aries for a duration. Okay, so be paying attention to what's going on in your life. Do decide what you want to initiate for yourself. You want it to be from a place of compassion for yourself and those that you consider family, which are not going to be your blood relatives unless you happen to really like them. Okay, everyone's not born into a family that they get along with. So you don't need to force yourself to like go and make amends. It's not about that. But it's also not mudslinging. It's not throwing daggers. It's not wishing anybody harm because it's going to bite you first. That's what the Lord of Karma does. I will tell you, years ago, um, there was there were these two people that were related to each other. They were related to each other. And they really had it out for me because I called them out on some stuff that they were doing that was not honest. And they did wish that I crashed and burned. And they started to just throw me under the bus with things that were not true. And I'm sorry to be smiling, but this is how karma works. A tree fell on their house. Okay. Now, this happened one other time. Okay, it has happened more than once, but I guess you like the story, so I'll just give you one other one, maybe two. But there was even longer ago. There was somebody that I was like being very supportive and encouraging to promote them, and then I forget how whatever went down. Some lines got crossed, and then they cursed my name. And they also started saying some pretty bad, untrue things about me. And no one got hurt, but their house burned to the ground. And there's just one more. It's a third person, another person, different period of time. Um, really caused some problems for me, but really cut me to my core. Emotionally, I was a mess, saying these untrue things, dragging me through the mud, and they got hit on their motorcycle. I didn't do it, I didn't, but this is what karma does. And so when there's somebody who's trying to do good in the world, you don't want to wish anybody evil. But even if it's somebody who is an idiot, you don't wish anybody to crash and burn because it's going to hurt you first. But if it is somebody who's doing good, it's kind of like doubling down. So you just want to do good. And if there is somebody who's hurting, you don't want to contribute to that pain. You want to wish them well anyways. It doesn't mean you entangle with them. But remember, hurt people hurt people. And it's like a bully, right? So the last thing you want to do to a bully is entangle with them. But you also don't give them back their own medicine because what they're actually lacking was acceptance and love when they were really little. And so you remove yourself from the situation and you imagine their likeness and you surround them with love and compassion because that's what they actually need. And one day, it might be on their deathbed, they're actually going to see your loving actions towards them. Uh, it probably won't happen during like the lifetime, but it'll happen during the transition. And that's for somebody who's like caused harm to other people. I will tell you that when you transition, it's like the review, that life review thing. What happens is however you made somebody else feel, you feel it like 50 cajillion times harder. You become in that other person's shoes as the recipient of your assholeness. And so You want to treat everybody you meet with love, dignity, and compassion. And that will help clear your own karma. Ask for forgiveness where it's appropriate. Forgive yourself where it's appropriate, maybe for accepting less than good behavior from other people, maybe because you didn't have healthy boundaries. And so forgive yourself, and then from a distance, forgive them too, and stop carrying all of this luggage around so that you can ease into these next several months leaner and cleaner, but not meaner. And then you can get on the ferry boat with others of like mind, and you're going to make new friends there. You might even meet the love of your life. Maybe it's your soulmate. Maybe it's your new business partner. Maybe it's the person who's got the vacant office, which is exactly what you've been looking for. All right, so you want to be able to get on the ferry boat with as little baggage as possible. Be present, whatever's right in front of you. The more presence you can experience, the more, the more, the more now that you'll be able, the more present moment that you will be able to realize with your real eyes what is available for you. So if you're looking far out into the future, then you are ignoring your present. You have to pay attention to those. Now, those are people and circumstances that you are immediately surrounded by, and make sure that you are like, reciprocal. Those that are helping you, don't forget to say thank you. Don't forget to like, send them some flowers or something. Let them know that you're thinking of them because maybe you're too busy. But, we get all into our grind and we do become too busy and we do forget those who have been supporting us. Every now and then, maybe set one day aside a month, like use your favorite number. So the 7th of every month, I'm gonna review who have I lost touch with. And maybe I'm gonna write them a note or send them a text and just say, you know what, I'm thinking of you. And I just want to say thank you for when you did XYZ for me. Or just randomly send them some flowers or something. It's so nice to know that you're well thought of or that you're appreciated when you do something for others, isn't it? So you should be that for other people. You know how hopefully you know how good it feels to help somebody, but also allow yourself to be helped too. All right, we are already at our hour. It goes by so very quickly. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. And I'm just going to see if there's any messages coming through. Know who you are. Plan your destiny. Set sail. They like the whole analogy of the ferry boat, which reminds me, if you happen to be local, now I am in Chautauqua County, the most southwestern county of New York State that there is. And on July 31st, I'm actually going to be taking my big gongs on a ferry boat. It is going to be so cool. If you're local, if you're in, that would be Northeast Pennsylvania or Northeast Ohio, or that would be Northwest Pennsylvania or Northeast Ohio or South Western New York, you're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be taking the big sacred gongs, and it's going to be a beautiful sound bath, energy healing on a ferry boat. So cool. What is it called? It's the Bemis Point Stowe Ferry. And you can find that in all of the events I've got coming up on my website. I would love for you to join my email list, and you'll get a woo's letter, which I'm about to send one out over the next 24 hours. And sometimes I send a coupon code for a discount off of my services. Um, if you're interested in getting a personal reading with me, you can do that on my website. But I also offer past life readings and past life regressions too. Um, I do so many cool things. I love my life, and I want you to live a life that you love as well. Okay, my friends, I'm going to end it on that note. Thank you so much. I again invite you to please subscribe to my channel. I would really love that. And share me with a friend if you like this content. And I'm just going to give you a great big hug. Oh, big love, and I'll see you next week. Signing off for now. Bye bye.